Hello friends, welcome to the Together Run that was not the Together Run that was. I started recording a Together Run on a week ago, earlier this week when I was in Utah, a few days after my race was not happening, and then I ended up tripping on the trail and decided it wasn't a good idea. So I'm actually going to insert that into this Together Run for the first few minutes, so you'll hear it and then you'll cut back to me now. Okay, so I'm going to pass over to Tina of a few days ago to get us started, and and then you will come back to me here in St. Louis. So yeah, off we go. Hi friends. Not a Together Run I expected today, but here we are. You may have seen in our email newsletter or on social media, I did not do my 50k a few days ago as I'm recording this. I'll tell you a bit more about that in a minute. But in the meantime, if you aren't subscribed to the Running For Real newsletter, go do it. It really is where you get to hear my heart. You get to kind of get the best of this honesty that you're hearing in these runs. So if you enjoy these Together Runs, when you get back from this run, go sign up. runningforreal.com, anywhere on there you can find it. But for first, let's start as we always do by touching some element of nature. I am going to touch the tallest piece of grass I can see here, which is probably 5 foot tall. Touching it. You touching something in nature. If you're on a treadmill or something, just ground yourself. Be aware that you are on the ground, on Mother Earth, even if it's covered with cement and whatever else. Okay, we ready to begin? Oh, my watch isn't ready, so you're going to have to give me a second. It's almost there. So today I just want to say before I begin, and I'm going to shift this a little bit different. I have some things I want to talk through with you about what happened, but I also do want to begin with some elements of nature, some elements of our usual run. So we probably will do the body scan, but maybe we'll do the senses check-in after I've kind of talked through some things. So maybe either do the mental health check-in and then go back to the senses check-in. So I'm stalling here. I apologise. If you need to get running, you get running. But should be any second now, hopefully. It's a very cloudy day here. Just give it a minute. There we go. All right, 3, 2, and 1. I actually don't typically mind if my GPS doesn't load. I usually just go without it, but in this case I actually do want to kind of keep track of some of the information while I'm going, especially being at altitude, especially recovering from what I'm about to tell you. So yeah, I do want to keep track of it, so thank you for your patience there. Just starting off this run, as I look to my right, I see mountains with a little bit of fresh snow on the top, all around in every direction. I see houses in this kind of valley in between all the mountains. About 3 miles away from here is Jared's house where we're staying. I drove here yesterday around here, and then pretty much had to turn around. So I wanted to drive here, see what we see. As I said, I am at altitude. I'm also recovering, and so probably will be a little more heavy breathing, especially on this trail. So hopefully you don't mind that. All right, turning onto this single track trail that is going, I actually have no idea where this is going, but someone wrote a review that said it was beautiful and really good, so we'll see. Okay, so if this is your first Together Run, welcome. Kind of a different Together Run. Oh, this is steep in terms of what we're going to be doing and kind of the tone, I suppose. I'm going to walk steep hill. The tone of this run. I debated on the way here whether I was going to do a together run or not because of this reason. This is steep, and also just because I couldn't just decide if I wanted this for myself or not. Do I want to just go along and process by myself? But I don't know. Something told me to do this with you and to do it together. And so here I am on this very narrow single track trail going along one of the mountains. If this is your first together run, in a minute will do what we call, wow, this is steep. We're going to do it together. Okay, might be a lot more walking than running on this trail. We are going to do a body scan, which is going to be head to toe. I will call out some areas as you work your way down your body, just checking in with the various parts of your body. And it's just kind of to help ground us to our bodies at a time when, quite often, at least for me, I'm not very good at grounding in with my body. So we'll do that once I get through these pretty sharp rocks. Okay. All right. So begin. You take a nice deep breath. And another one. And we're going to begin with our body scan. Okay. Working your way down from the top of your head, going down into your eyes, making sure they're not squinting or scrunched, not holding on to any tension there. Nice and relaxed. Going down and through your nose, into your mouth and jaw, making sure that is also nice and relaxed. Whoa! Oh, I'm not sure this is the best idea, friends. I was there for like 4 minutes in, almost falling over already. Maybe Utah just doesn't like me. Doesn't want me here. I don't know, I think I better abandon this. Alright, friends. I think I'm going to abandon this run together. I'll give you a little chat on the way back, I think. But this feels too dangerous. This trail is very steep. This trail is very rocky. And the fact I nearly went down, my gut says no. Alright, so now I have to figure out what to do with this microphone. But regardless, thank you for joining me on this few minutes. Sorry it wasn't a run. And I'll check in a minute. And welcome to St. Louis. As you hear, cut that run short. Or I didn't cut the run short, cut the recording short. That was a really close call with me falling over. And it was pretty treacherous. Not all of it. Definitely could have done a together run. But I think it was the right decision to stop. So now you're back joining me. We're about 5 minutes in. And so we are going to... I'm just going to have to do a bit of mental math here, piecing these together. So at 25 minutes... for me right now is going to be 30 minutes of your run. But let's just go ahead and begin with that body scan. Okay, ready? And starting at the top of the head, working your way down, going through the eyes, make sure they're nice and relaxed. Coming around the back of your head, just checking in with the back of your head. Going back to the front, checking in with your nose, your jaw, making sure everything feels nice and relaxed. no clenching. And then coming down the front of the neck, around the back of the neck, going into your shoulders, all around those top back muscles, or shoulder muscles. And then you're going to go into your arms, over the hump of your shoulders, into the upper arm, and around the elbow, going into the lower arm, forearm, going into your wrist and hand and fingers. Make sure those are nice and relaxed. If anything is tense, just give it a shake right now. And then coming back into the main torso and down through your chest, into your stomach. Just checking in with your breathing. That it's nice and relaxed. Doing that diaphragmatic breathing as you continue on into your hips and pelvis. And going down, glutes, into hamstrings, coming around to the front, checking in with the quads, into your knees, front of the knee, over that kneecap, back of the knee, down into the calf and shin, going into the inside of your ankle, checking in with the outside of your ankle, down into the heel, to the arch, the top of your foot, and finally your toes. How's everything feeling? How is your body? Just take a moment to reflect. Okay, and then let's do the mental check-in. If I were to ask you, how are you? Really? What would you tell me? Or even if you wouldn't tell me, if you wouldn't be comfortable saying that, what would you think to yourself? Just take that moment to check in. How are you? Really? Few more seconds. Okay. Thank you for sharing that with me. Thank you for taking the time to check in with yourself. It's such an important thing. Now, how am I? Really? Well, I have a little bit less processing to do in this run because I've done some of it. The race was a week ago tomorrow as I'm recording this, and so I've had some time. Also, as I mentioned at the beginning of the original Utah Together run you were joining me on, go join that newsletter, runningforreal.com. If you haven't already, that's where I ended up going through processing my emotions of the race. And I do that often. So if you enjoy these honesty pieces, that's definitely the place to go. There is a link in the show notes as well, so you can go do it there. Okay, but an answer, how am I really? First thing that comes to mind is grateful and just content, because yesterday was Chloe's birthday as of me recording this, and it was a really nice day. It was a beautiful day outside, absolutely perfect weather, and had a nice day with her and with Bailey and our babysitter, who's become like family, came with me to take the girls to the park, and there's a splash pad there and they just really enjoyed themselves. It was nice and relaxing, and again not too hot, so it was just enjoyable. And then we came back and girls took a nap. I actually tried to take a work call with some people on the team, and that ended up being a total mess because Chloe was refusing to sleep. Bailey was at first singing at the top of her lungs so we could hear it, and then they both came in the room with me for a little bit, and then of course started fighting, and so that was a bit of a mess, but whatever, that's life with kids. And then in the evening we just had some friends over who have got to know Chloe well to celebrate, and that was really nice. So yeah, I just feel grateful for our friends, grateful that the best example of just my friends know me, they know us, was that not a single bit of food went in the bin, in the trash, because they all knew I either had composting somewhere around or they asked where the composting was. So every one of them knew to put it in the compost, which for me was a good representation of like they knew that's important to me and did it. Anyway, so we had a really nice evening. Chloe thrives in social settings, so she was on top form, and wasn't that many people, like 15 I think, or maybe 17 if you include us, and it was nice. So so most of them feeling good. I'll tell you a bit more about race thoughts when we get to the update section. But yeah, I actually feel pretty good as a whole. There's not really anything bothering me specifically other than just the usual crunch on time. Like right now, I'm using my babysitting hours to record this, and so that just leaves me less to do for later, less time to do work later. But I let myself sleep in today till 7 till the girls woke up, because I was tired. So, give and take. But that's my how are you. So next, we're going to begin our census check-in. And if you have not done one of these before, it's going to be where we will check in with our 5 senses we use the most and just see how we're feeling. We're going to end with sight, because that's the one we overuse in life, and we will begin with our sense of smell and taste. So let's go ahead, as we always do, take 2 deep breaths and another one, don't know, I think I shared the story last week. No, I don't think I did, of Chloe taking deep breaths. I actually might tell you that now before I forget it, and then I'll do the census check-in, because it's funny. Now, with this, if I've already did share this somehow, I apologise for sharing it twice, but I've told quite a lot of people this because it's just really funny. Okay, so when we were in Portland, the first night Bailey was sick, she was in a different room. She was in the room with Steve to just separate them because we didn't want Chloe to get it as much as we could help. And they were in separate rooms, and they're not used to that. They share a room at home, they share a room when we travel. And so I went in the bedroom with Chloe just to lie down. This was at like 8 o'clock, so I wasn't ready for bed, but I just was going to lie there with her, pretending to go to sleep. So I did. I'm pretending to sleep, and she's trying everything she can to engage me. She's just really being cute and silly and goofy and, just trying to get me to wake up, or what she thinks wake up, where I really am listening. And nothing's working. So eventually she goes, I'm going to take deep breaths. I'm going to take deep breaths. And then she goes, and that was it. I just started laughing because I couldn't believe my 1-year-old was saying, I'm going to take deep breaths. And so I started laughing, and then she knew she'd got me. And, kind of gave in and gave her cuddles and played with her for a little bit, but it was just really funny. I don't know if that's just funny when I tell it, but might be one of those moments. But I think Malcolm Gladwell talked about that on the podcast, right? Where you retell something that's really funny and it's not funny. Maybe it's one of those, but anyway, it was funny and cute. Anyway, so that's my story. So let's go to the census check-in. So what do you smell? Just take it in. For me, I smell a very floral, some kind of flower. This must be in full bloom right now. It's quite strong. What do you taste? Me, I don't really taste anything specific. It's just that kind of like neutral taste of nothingness. Okay, next I'm going to work in with our hearing. If it is safe for you to do so, I'm going to ask you to remove your headphones and listen for about 30 seconds as to what it is you hear in your surroundings. Try and pick out sounds you wouldn't usually pay attention to, and let's check in. Few more seconds. Okay, what did you hear? For me, I heard a lot of birds, some distant cars, a dog leash making that jingling sound. I heard the wind burst through my ears, and I heard someone walking. Okay, next we're going to check in with our sense of touch, tactile. And I want to ask you to just be in your body for a little bit and see what it is you feel, what comes to your attention, where's your attention going as you are running along or walking along if you want to walk to these. A few more seconds. Okay, what jumped out to you? Is it things you often pay attention to? Was there something different today? What was going on in your body? For me, stomach's a little gurgly. I can feel the wind quite strongly against my temples. I can feel my watch just a bit tighter maybe on my wrist today. Those are some of the things that are jumping out to me. And finally, our sense of sight, our overused sense. What do you see? Not going to give you any direction, but again, as always, make sure you try and hone in on details, no matter what it is. Just trying to look for details of your world. Like, for example, I can see there's a tree here, and the ivy is almost at the top, all the way around. And I know that ivy chokes trees, so you can see that being done, nature in real time. What do you see? A few more seconds. What do you see? Okay, I have to admit, I got sidetracked. I saw a British flag with lots of little, a Union Jack with a lot of other little Union Jack flags, and I got distracted. Yesterday was the Jubilee, which I, to be honest, don't really care about, but it still grabbed my attention and led me off into a thought chain of like, I wonder if that person is British, as in like me British, or if they just are someone who's like great grandmother or cousin is British, and if they are an expat like me, will you be my friend, British person? I always try and seek out the English people where I am, and so I think St. Louis actually has been the first place I haven't really had a British friend yet. But anyway, so I have to admit I got sidetracked, but I hope you found some details in your little site check-in. Okay, so we have a few more minutes until the 30-minute group is going to come to a walk, and we'll do our first set of strides. Now, the timing might not be quite on, so if you are doing an exact workout or run, then you can go ahead and just do that, whereas I'm going to kind of do what I think is the right time, and if it's a little over, I'm sure you will be absolutely fine. And now, what do we usually do? We do updates. Yeah. What updates do you have? Actually, let's wait till the 30-minute group. So 30-minute group, let's just explain that now. When we come to a walk, we're going to do 2 strides together, everyone is. 30-minute group will come to a walk. The 45 and 60-minute groups will continue running. We will do 2 strides, which are 10 to 15 seconds of going about 80% of your max. You're not trying to take big steps. You're just trying to move your legs as quick as you can. And then we will, as quick as you can, up to 80%, I should say. And you take a little walk break. The rest of us will keep running, do 1 more, and then we will, if you want to hang out, listen to my updates a bit more about the race and my situation, you're welcome to. Or if you want to say bye, totally understand that. One thing I do ask is that you share this either with me, through email, on social media. Just lets me know that you're here and you've enjoyed it. Just means a lot, especially as I said, I'm choosing to use this time for this instead of doing other things. All right, come to a walk, 30-minute group. We'll give you about 30 seconds, and then we'll do these little 10 to 15 second strides. And then we'll do our updates for everyone else and see how we're doing. Going up this hill, I always have to go up to get to the second section of where I do these together runs. Okay, are we ready to begin our first stride? In 3, 2, and 1. And come to a jog or a walk. Has anyone ever timed these? Does anyone actually look at their watch? Because I don't, I guess. Am I actually? Is it 10 to 15? I feel like it's probably more like sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 17, and occasionally it's in the 10 to 15. But I'd love to know if anyone does actually look. So we'll give you just a little more time, a few more Another 30 seconds, and then we'll do one more stride. Okay, we ready? In 3, 2, and 1. Now I feel like you've got pressure because multiple of you have probably looked at your watch. And come to a jog or a walk. That was even harder talking in it. Couldn't even count. I don't normally count, but you know, be fully aware. Alright, 30-minute group. You're welcome to hang out, listen, walk while you continue, or you can see you later. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you. And by the way, all of you, if you haven't left a review on iTunes, we haven't had any reviews in quite a while. And one of the recent ones was a bit of a negative, maybe valid, the comment, but it was a negative still. So if you haven't already left a review, I'd really appreciate it. Alright, so updates. So I want you, if this is your first time running with me, what would you tell me about you? About your story, about your journey, about your life, whatever else. I'm just going to give you a few minutes to do that. And if you have run with me before, you know, this is your chance to tell me what you've been up to since we last ran together. So let's go ahead and do that now. I know it can be uncomfortable if you're not used to having time with your thoughts, but just keep on chipping away. What would you tell me? I'll give you another 30 seconds, so dig deeper. Okay, thank you for sharing, or if you know you wouldn't have shared with me, thank you for checking in with your own self. Loud, plain. Thank you for checking in with yourself and for giving yourself some space to be quiet. Okay, my updates. What would I share with you? Well, I'd say first off, a lot of you have been asking me questions about the Allbirds Flyers, their first performance running shoe, and I'm wearing them right now. As I mentioned to you in the St. Louis Together race, half marathon, I wore them there. I also wore them in Boston and in Maui. And you've been asking a lot of questions. Feel free to continue with those. I'm happy to help. And by the way, Allbirds wants to learn. So I have direct channels to the people that make the decisions about the shoes. So if you do get a pair and there's something you're not crazy about or that you love, let me know and I can pass it along to them. Like, I'm happy to literally send your screenshot and send it. So they want honesty. But that said, I really do love this shoe. I'm now in my second pair. I put up a video on Instagram the other day of my favourite feature, which is that they slide on and off. Like, I don't untie my shoelaces between wears. And I really love that feature because, as I know it sounds so ridiculous to say, but I would really rather not untie my shoes and tie them again. And these are just nicely snug so that you don't need to. So I definitely love that part. I'll be interested to see if they do keep it. But yeah, any questions you have, I'm happy to answer. Actually, a few of you have asked me about my transition from zero drop to these, which are 8mm. And I have to admit, I was very nervous to switch because A, that's not a switch you typically hear people making, right? Going from a zero drop to an 8. Whereas there's quite a lot of people who go down in drop, and how does that help them? So I was pretty nervous, but it ended up being absolutely fine. I was so cautious. I didn't have any problems. Actually, I did have one little spot just below my big toe where it chafed, and I told them, and they said, yep, we've had a few of those, so you're not alone, and we're fixing it for the next pair. But yeah, the transition has been fine. I will admit I still wear a pair of zero drop once or twice a week, but I think there's nothing wrong with that, and I'm sure and I know they don't mind me saying that I'm also still wearing my zero drop shoes for the trails, because Allbirds has not. They have a trail shoe, but it's not ready for ultras, nowhere close. So, you know, I'm not completely out of the others, but let's just go ahead and say it. I'm being really weird about it. I'm not completely out of my ultras, but I am really enjoying these, wearing these more and more. I wore these yesterday for my workout, and I wore them today, and they've been great. So you can check out Allbirds' website if you like. They didn't tell me to say this today, a lot of you have been asking questions, so I figured I would mention it. Okay, what other updates do I have? Well, yeah, the race. Again, I talked through it on the email, talked through it in a social media post, but now reflecting a bit further out, I actually don't feel nowhere near as upset as I thought I would, which is really strange for me to think about, especially as this has happened twice. So for those of you who don't know, I'll give you the lowdown. Even the email people, you got a shortened version. So Bailey was throwing up on Sunday into Monday. And so we knew, was it even Sunday? I feel like it might have even been like Friday. Anyway, she was throwing up. You know, I was being super careful because I know how contagious these like, anything that's vomiting, I know how contagious that can be. So I was being really careful. We were keeping Chloe far away from her. We kept her in the bedroom for like a full day. And then she got better. She did throw up one more time a day later, but that was just kind of in that stage where you think, oh, I'm good. and then you kind of go back to eating normal, and she obviously wasn't ready for it. But she was back to normal, and then we all were kind of careful during that time, even the day after she threw up the last time. But then, as you do, you kind of relax, right? You're like, I've cleaned everything. I think we're okay. We would have had it by now. And so I guess Chloe and I must have touched something that had that germ on it, because within half an hour of each other, Chloe and I were throwing up. Weirdly enough, 2 days after the last time Bailey had thrown up. And so, unfortunately, that throwing up ended up being 2 hours and 45 minutes from our flight. 3 hours and 45 minutes from our flight. So immediately we were like, well, we can't fly now. Well, actually, the first time I threw up, I thought, okay, maybe that was a one-off. But then when I did it again, I was like, nope. We all know what this means. So we pushed back, called Jared Ward, who I was staying with, and his family of 5 children. Amazing. Anyone who has 5 children listening, I'm just in awe of you. And of Jared and Erica. He had already dropped his car off for us at the airport. So unfortunately he then had to drive back the 45 minutes to go get it. Had to push that back. Rebooked for Thursday. I was throwing up for 12 hours straight, unable to leave the room other than to go to the bathroom for 36 hours. I just was totally out of it. Like Steve says, I wasn't even making any sense when I talked to him. It was nasty. And Chloe, thankfully, only threw up a few times that day. She then threw up later that night. Again, same mistake of, whoops, we let her eat too much. I'm not sure I can eat applesauce again, because it was applesauce combined with a rancid smell. Applesauce might be off my list for a while. Not that that's something I ate all the time anyway. So then we pushed back. But when she threw up that night, and I still was like very weak, we were like, oh, this is not a good idea. And Steve's dad had started throwing up by this point. And so we pushed back to the Friday. Delta then said to me, this is your last time of moving this. If you move this again, we're going to have to charge you. And so we're like, okay, this is it. If we don't take this flight, we're just going to cancel Utah and go home. By this point, I knew my race was done the second time I threw up. And I think that's why, 45-minute group, come to a walk. We'll do 2 strides in a minute. I think that's why I was so easily able to handle it, because it was kind of out of my hands, right? If it was a 5K or a 10K, you could, maybe try and eat extra that day before the race and catch back up and get close. But with an ultra, my first ultra at altitude, there's just no way. And I knew that. I knew it'd be stupid. And thankfully, when I shared about it on social, some of you said about your own experiences of getting sick and then trying to do it anyway, and either ending up in the medical tent or not finishing, and so, or destroying your bodies. There's a lot of people that said that, so that was a good reminder. All right, friends, we're going to do 2 strides, and then I'll continue. Okay, just going to turn myself around. You ready? 3, 2, and 1. Okay, come to a jog you can jog. Well, unless you're in the 45, I suppose. 60-minute group, you can definitely keep jogging. Nice and shaded here, which is good. Temperature's going up. Is that a beehive? It has to be a beehive. Well, that's cool. Should have done this bit in my sight section. Okay, we ready for another stride? 3, 2, and 1. And come to a jog or a walk. I just know there's going to be one of you, or many of you maybe, who reach out to me and say, you know, you were asking about the timing of the strides. If you do it from when you say and, then you're under. But if you do it from this bit, then you're just right, or something like that. And if you were thinking of doing that, please do it. That'd be so funny. Shows, you know, we've got to know one another. You know me through hearing me on this and all kinds of other ways, podcasts, and I know you through the reaching out. So keep on reaching out for whatever various reasons. I love it. Okay, so then Steve and I were still not feeling great. Still, I am on eating like crackers and banana and bread with butter, and that's it. Steve is still not feeling good himself, but he hasn't thrown up yet. And so we're like, okay, let's just try this last flight. If anything goes wrong, we'll abandon ship and go home. And so that night, our flight again is at 5:45, so don't really get much sleep anyway. But then we kind of are holding our breath overnight, like, is this going to happen? Are we just kind of admitting defeat? What's going on? And so we then get on the plane, get there. The girls are pretty grumpy because they've been up since 3, and we have a little bit of time. Jared picks us up. We have a little bit of time with him and his family, and then they leave to go to Boulder, because that's what Jared was running in a few days, and we just have his house to ourselves, which was nice. I kind of was looking forward to spending time with his family. I've got to know them a little bit, but I was excited for my family to get to know his family. But obviously wasn't meant to be. It's got a beautiful view, 3 sides of mountains, and just a nice little quiet neighborhood. And then that night, Steve was really not feeling good. I had tried to eat a normal meal. My stomach was really angry that night. But thankfully no other side effects. But yeah, and then we continued to have angry stomachs for like another 4 days afterwards. All 4 of us, like, I could hear the girls' bellies. Well, not so much Bailey, but Chloe. I could hear her and my bellies going like, you know, as they do, like just really not ready. And so the race just didn't really come into my mind much. Now, that said, I'm looking into... Did I say bye to the 45-minute group? If not, sorry, if you're still here. Thank you for joining. I feel like I just did a stride and then carried on, did I? I don't know. But thank you for joining. I'd love to see your photos of what you're doing when you're doing these. And, yeah, I appreciate you. Yeah, I feel like I just kind of was rude there. Anyway, So the race didn't really come into my mind. But now the thing is, I'm trying to figure out what to do. So there is a ultra in England, in Wales actually, 2 hours from where my aunt lives. On the weekend I'm with my aunt, or the week I'm with my aunt. And that's tempting, right? Because this has happened to me twice, where I've done the training, albeit not perfect, but still. And then it's been taken out from under me the week of. So there's that big part of me wants to do that. However, it is a very challenging race. Not at altitude, so that's a plus. And there's no pressure, you know. If I did this, I would jump in it, no expectations. I'm not going to make a big deal about it like I did with the other two. And I would just be kind of, you know, going, whatever happens, happens. I just want to finish. It is 55k, which could be more. Was it 57k, I think? Actually, 57k. And the elevation gain is 7,000 feet, which is a lot. The most I've ever got in one of my runs here is about 3.5. So I am going to do a run tomorrow in the steepest trails we have here, and I'm going to do 4 hours. So I hope I can maybe get like 5,000 and see how that feels. But still, that's tough. And it says about poles, bringing poles. So I suspect it is a tough race. And Ryan Montgomery said he thinks I can definitely do it, but it is definitely going to be a very tough first ultra. So I'm trying to decide whether to do that, whether to just let it go. But then there's that like superstitious fate part of me that's like, you know what, maybe this is you. I was telling Jared this the other day. Maybe this is that my roots come from English cross country. The worse the course, the better. And we had hills in our cross country courses when I was a kid that were like basically vertical. Like I would have to walk up them in a 6k cross country race. They were so steep, and the worse the mud, the better I did. Basically, the worse the conditions, the better I did. And so that was my start for my first running journey. And so maybe this is me pulling at straws, pulling at strings, or whatever the term is. Maybe the world wants me to start from my home roots again in England for my ultra second part of my life, running life, rather than me starting in an American situation. So that's the part of me that's like, go for it, do it. But then there's one more but. If I do this, I obviously have to make sure I get in my training before I do the race. I've had a very messed up few months. And I'm not saying I have to squeeze it all in, but like that's going to mean being at my sister's house and asking her to watch the girls for a minimum of 3 hours so I can go for a trail run. Or my parents. And that's also going to mean being like either getting up at 5 a.m. to do some things, or to sacrificing sleep, or sacrificing time with my loved ones. So it requires some definite commitments. That's why I was, the 50k I had, I could then take the summer easy and kind of do my runs as they fit in. If that meant skipping extras, then fine, so be it. But if I'm going to do this for particularly the long runs, have to be there in those weeks before. So yeah, what are your thoughts? Give me some advice. Anyone have any advice for me? I'd love to hear it. Okay, so on my watch I have about 3 minutes left. And so we will... Oh, would you kill me if I cut it a bit short? Well, it's probably not accurate anyway. I think I'm on my way back home. I think I'm just gonna cut it when I get there. Oh, I don't know. I want to do strides. Okay, let's go ahead and do our 2 strides now. You are at my mercy of what I want to do. Okay, you ready? 3, 2, and 1. And come to a jog or a walk. Oh no, you don't need to walk. If you can run 60 minutes, you don't need to walk. Do another one in 10 more seconds or so. Oh, there's just a car moving. I'm just gonna see what he's doing. Okay, ready? 3, 2, and 1. And come to a jog. About a minute and 15 seconds left. And then I'm done. Up to you what you want to do. Thanks for joining me in this mismatch of a run, listening to my rambles, and I'd love to hear. What do you think I should do? Give me your opinion. Can't promise I'll listen to it. Probably 50% of you I won't listen to. Well, I'll listen, but not follow. Because some of you are going to say do it, some of you are going to say don't. And I can't do both. But thank you for joining me. I love quite a few of you shared your pictures last week, which I love seeing. Thank you for that. And I have something I want to talk to you about on the next run, an idea, but we're out of time now. And okay, I'm going to come to a walk in 3, 2, and 1. And I want you and me to ground in with some element of nature. I'm going to run my hands along this grass. Just feel lots of strands. Thank you so much for joining me. Go check out the podcast episode with Joe and Lance from last week and last week's Running for Real. It was a really inspiring one, and it will make you want to start your own club and do your own thing. It was really inspiring, so go listen to it. Thanks so much, friends. I will see you next week. Hi friends, just a quick message to say a big thank you to the Running for Real team. While I may be the face of Running for Real and the voice behind the podcast, there are a group of people who are working tirelessly to provide everything that runners could need within our community, to make our community stronger, better, and evolve and grow and learn from one another. We are working really hard to make Running for Real the place we believe it can be within our community. I just want to take a moment to thank everyone on our team. That is Victoria, Stacey, Sandy, Sally, Maria, Kelsey, Kat, Jeremy, and Erica. I appreciate each and every one of you and the hard work that you put in. Now let's get back to the show.